With Canada and Mexico promising to tackle illegal immigration into America, with advertisers coming back to X, with businesses reversing their woke DEI policies, and with talk of peace in not just Ukraine but Gaza, are we already feeling the Donald Trump effect? Has the Donald won before even entering the White House? Let's get the views of a highly regarded and seasoned political communications strategist with over a decade of experience across the highest levels of government and political campaigns, Alexa Henning. Alexa, great to have you on the show. Now, Donald Trump isn't officially president. Well, it's great to see you. Donald Trump's not officially president until January. He currently is president-elect, but his work has very much begun.
Yes, and I know that everyone is breathing a bit of a sigh of relief in this country. He's obviously gotten off to a very, very great start. I mean, we saw Joe Biden was falling asleep in Africa when he was sitting at the table with world leaders. And Donald Trump is already meeting with world leaders at Mar-a-Lago. His border czar is down in Texas. I know he was meeting with the governor of Texas. And look, I mean, this is why the American people elected Donald Trump. They want him to fix what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris broke.
Most definitely. Now, to what extent is the threat of tariffs causing Mexico and Canada to offer America more help in securing its borders?
Sure. And I worked for the president for all 4 years in his first administration and was very, we saw that when Donald Trump said something, people believed what he was going to say. And I mean, we've seen that all throughout his career. He says, I'm going to do X. And people believe it because he says what he thinks. And so I've seen him do a lot of negotiations on behalf of the American people and make sure that we're getting a fair shake out of things. So I think they believe that Donald Trump is serious, and he is. And if if he is talking to them about tariffs and you all better get the borders secure, he's serious. And so I think you've already seen, Mexican officials seized a record number of fentanyl just the other day. And I think that absolutely has something to do with him being president-elect.
Do you think, having watched him at close quarters first time round, that Donald Trump will be a better president in this second term?
I think he was one of the best, if not the best presidents we've ever had in his first term. And I think he will continue doing that. I mean, he's very serious. We've seen him for almost, 5, 6, 7 years now, just being relentlessly attacked by the Democrats. They're going after his businesses, his family, trying to bankrupt him. I mean, he's so committed to making sure that America is successful and that the American people feel that the country, that their leadership has their back. I mean, he says it all the time. He could not be doing this. He could just be retiring and down in Mar-a-Lago, but he's not. He keeps fighting for the American people. And I think that's what he's going to continue to do that in these next 4 years.
Most definitely. I mean, look, he achieved an awful lot from 2016 to 2020, the economy, foreign affairs as well. But will he have better people around him this time? And will he be able to hit the ground running, given the fact that in 2016, he hadn't been a politician, he didn't have any experience of Washington?
Right. And I think, it's very important that he isn't a politician and he is someone with a business background. I think in the first term, we all were very frustrated with how Washington works. Washington works for those in power in Washington, and that's both parties. And exposing that, you could see how much they pushed back. They were like, "Oh, we don't want to lose our power," and the president is trying to hold us accountable. And so I do think he has that experience under his belt. He knows that now about Washington. And so in that regard, yes, he'll be able to, he's already gotten kind of a head start. He's already, like I said, he's got his border czar down in Texas trying to fix things immediately.
Yeah. And of course, with the 2-term limit, he's not seeking re-election. So how will that change his approach, do you think?
I think, well, I do think, yes, he won't be, but he's going to want his legacy, extended from J.D. Vance and, hopefully more Republican administrations to come. I think that he has a lot of cleaning up to do from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So it's probably going to take him all 4 years to make sure to kind of correct that. That's, been destroyed the last 4 years.
And what kind of relationship do you anticipate Donald Trump having with Canada's Justin Trudeau? Because they've just met, haven't they? I think Trudeau flew into Mar-a-Lago. How did it go?
I think it went fantastic. I mean, I came to the United Kingdom with him back. It's going to date me trying to remember the years, but we did come back and visit, and he met with Macron and Trudeau at the embassy, the American embassy in London. And look, I think they both respect him and the job that he wants to do. Biden did not demand respect on the international stage, and Donald Trump does. And so I think that he'll have a good working relationship because they know that Donald Trump is serious and he means business.
Well, indeed. And what about this threat of tariffs? I mean, is that going to be enough for Donald Trump to get what he wants by way of cooperation from not just Canada, but Mexico as well, particularly when it comes to that southern border?
Sure. I think it's going to be a few things. I think he's going to have talks, and you saw the president of Mexico coming out, after that threat and saying that she's going to work with Donald Trump. And so I think, it's a lot of things. We had a lot of meetings. There's going to be a lot of diplomacy too, but he is a tough leader and he means what he says. And I do think that we'll see. I mean, we did enact a lot of tariffs in our first administration, and, if that doesn't happen, he doesn't see results that he wants. Yeah, I'm sure that could be a possibility, the promise that he's going to follow through on.
Now, as you well know, in excess of 11 million people entered America illegally over the last 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where do you think numbers will be in 4 years' time?
Drastically lower than that. I mean, we had the lowest number of illegal crossings during his first term. And I think, what's such a stark contrast is Biden pardoning his son for crimes and the president trying to work through these massive amounts of illegal immigrants. I mean, you have a trial of a young girl who was murdered by a criminal illegal immigrant down in Georgia. And these juxtapositions of these views of the Democrats working solely for themselves and the benefit for themselves, and President Trump immediately trying to fix this. I mean, it cannot happen again. We cannot keep having young people, whether it's fentanyl pouring over, whether it's illegal immigrants committing crimes. We have gangs taking over Colorado. It's untenable and it's unsafe. And the American people, that's going to be something very high on his agenda because they're expecting him to fix that immediately.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. It might have been the issue that swung the election for Donald Trump. What is Trump's approach, Alexa, going to be towards Ukraine? Will he stand by Ukraine or will he sell them out in order to bring the war to an end? What do you think?
Look, I think he was given a mandate by the American people. They're tired of seeing billions and billions and billions of dollars going over to Ukraine. That doesn't mean that we're not going to, or he's not going to support him. I mean, you've had both sides already come out and say that they're willing to negotiate. They're willing to come together to end this. And this is why the American people elected Donald Trump. They wanted to stop and prevent these endless wars. And that's something that he said on the campaign trail. He campaigned on so much, was that he's going to bring back peace and stability in the world. And so I think he's, it's going to take a lot of work, but I think he's going to get there and he's going to try to negotiate something that hopefully, both Putin and Zelensky can be happy with.
Of course, establishment media have spent the last 4 years demonizing Donald Trump, effectively calling him Adolf Hitler Mark II. What are his critics going to say if he brings the Ukraine war to an end, achieves peace in the Middle East, and engages with China and North Korea? What will they say?
I don't think they're going to change their tune at all. I think they're going to keep demonizing him and his administration and his supporters. I mean, I think that had a lot to do with what happened in the election. You had Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Mark Cuban come out and say, top surrogates say that their supporters were trash, were not intelligent, were Nazis, were deplorables. I mean, the Democrats, I don't think, have learned any lessons from this election. They lost everything: the White House, the House, the Senate, and now it's all under Republican control. And they are still coming out, these talking heads, the corporate media, and blaming the American people. They see no blame from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden or their campaigns. They just solely put it on the American people. And they're going to keep losing if they keep acting like that.
Now, of course, when you worked with Donald Trump from 2016 to 2020, you would have observed how he is the master of the art of the deal. He did engage with Vladimir Putin, with President Xi of China, and even entered North Korean soil, which was a first for a sitting US president. He exchanged friendly correspondence with Kim Jong-un, who is one of the world's great tyrants. Donald Trump is someone that tries to reach out and tries to engage with these bad actors around the world, doesn't he?
He does, and he made historic progress meeting with Kim Jong-un in the denuclearization efforts. And I think he sees this as, you have to come to the negotiation table. This is in no way legitimizing what they're doing. They're dictators and tyrants, and they're terrorizing their own people. But you at least have to try to make it better, and ignoring them. I mean, he certainly has threatened repercussions, and they know that he's serious about it.